I'm Kenny Johnson. This is Bolt Wrestling. My name's Kenny Johnson. Welcome to Bolt Wrestling and the White Bolt Wrestling series. I created Bolt as a teaching system to implement a belt system into the sport of wrestling, similar to sports such as jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, and karate. Historically, wrestling did not have a way to identify an athlete's skill level outside of the accolades they achieved during their career. The White Bolt Wrestling Series is for athletes and coaches of all levels. Whether to begin a curriculum or to add to an existing curriculum, the White Bolt Series can help an athlete progress through their career in wrestling and help them identify their skill set both realistically and as a visual representation of their skill set. Wrestling is made up of a series of moves. Each move is made up of a series of basic skills. I've identified 21 basic skills I think each wrestler should have to have his wrestling taken to the next level. The first and foremost thing that you need to have as a basic skill as a wrestler is a stance. A solid stance, more than a solid, a great stance. Everything comes back to the stance. On your feet, every wrestling match starts on your feet, moves end on your feet, takedowns start and end on your feet. The stance is the cornerstone of wrestling on your feet. How I set up my stance, I like to have a nice wide base. I call my feet are on railroad tracks, not on a tightrope. The closer your feet are together, the less balance you're gonna have. So find a position that your feet are in that are on railroad tracks that you can move, defend, and counter from. My level is low. I have a nice level. I'm not standing high. I'm always defending and countering from a lower level. The hand that you're dominant is your power hand. That's the leg that will be forward, and your power hand protects the lead leg. So the leg that's forward is your lead leg. This hand protects the lead leg. I like to keep my wrist about at my knee. It could be slightly lower, but not really higher. I keep it in the center. I don't keep it off center. Either way, I keep my wrist. I say the rule of thumb is about the wrist at the kneecap, right in the center, not off center to either way. Off center is the difference between you defending and being taken down. My opposite hand is the hand I keep up and manages the space between my opponent and myself. That sets up part of my defense and into my counter offense. My back foot, I have my ankle is loaded, my heel is slightly off the ground. It's not exaggerated up. I don't try to keep it up. By being in a good stance, it ends up being up a little bit. This is part of the ankle. The knee and the hip are all loaded. This is one big spring. This is how I get my drive. This is how I get my explosion. So I'm always in a good stance. I'm always ready to shoot, always ready to defend and counter. My stance looks like this. My lower back and my back position is like I'm trying to push a car up a hill. I'm never bent over. I'm never looking at the mat. I'm sitting in a nice position, hand protecting the lead leg, hand out. This is my stance. There's forward, forward to the right, and forward to the left. I don't have a reverse gear. There's really nothing I do that moves up going backwards. And I don't walk directly to the right or directly to the left. So again, forward, forward to the right, and forward to the left. I get in my stance and what I call 1 inch, 1 inch is my movement. 1 inch, 1 inch, right here. I don't bob and weave up and down like this. My hips stay in the same plane, and I use my legs to absorb everything. I stay in low. Anytime I'm out of my stance, that's a time for my opponent to take me down. I'm always staying in my stance. When I move, again, 1 inch, 1 inch. This isn't a track meet. The mat's only a certain size. I don't have to chase him. I stalk him down like a wild animal. That's my prey, and I'm stalking it down. I keep pressure on him the whole time. I call it 1 inch, 1 inch. And I want to be light on my feet, and I call it light as a tank. I want to be able to move quick, be agile, but I want to be able to walk through a wall at the same time. So I call it light as a tank. It's an oxymoron. Go look it up. So when I'm moving, I use quick feet to move. When I hit the corner, I move and I stay in my position, in my stance, right here. I never come up. I never cross my feet forwards. We talked about never going backwards. And I'm not walking. You know, I'm not walking anywhere. I'm stalking people down, staying in my stance, right here, staying in. When I move, quick movement to the right, to the left. Feet are always apart. All these moves I've just described and more, I'm looking at my opponent, looking to track him. So when I get into my stance, I'm looking, is my opponent in his stance? Is his hand out in front of him? Is he protecting his lead leg? Is he walking? Is he crossing his feet? Are his legs too close? Is he bobbing up and down? All of it has to do with the stance. I'm tracking him. Anything out of where he should be is a cue for me to take him down. So a level change keeps me in a superior position to my opponent. If my opponent's hips are lower than mine, he has the advantage on me. I can't stay up high. My stance might be here, but in order for me to take a shot, clear some of his defenses, move, setups, it's a level change. It's very simple. You're level changing. You're not bending over, you're changing your level. So as I'm moving, I might lower my level. If he lowers his level, I match his level. I match it with my head and my hips. So you have stance, motion, level change in your lines of defense. That sets up your foundation. Penetration step is how you're going to close the distance between yourself and your opponent. The penetration step is from your stance, you're gonna lower your level, so you're gonna hit a level change, and you're gonna hit power, step, knee, up. That is a basic, very basic penetration step you're gonna use throughout your wrestling career. Master this penetration step. Power, step, knee, up. I wanna penetrate through my opponent. If my opponent is standing in front of me, I want to look 10 feet behind him. That's where I want to penetrate to. If I just shoot just to my opponent and he sprawls, I won't have a tight grip on him. I want to pretend I'm shooting 10 feet past my opponent. That's the explosion I want. That's the penetration I want. So penetration is closing the gap between my opponent, and I want to do it fast, and I want to be in good position. Say these things in your head. Power, step, knee, up. Another penetration step is just one good explosion and a big step right here for different blast doubles and snatch singles. A different type of takedowns you can hit from there, but two different penetration steps again. One here, just explode, close the gap. The other one, power, step, knee, up. The lift is utilized to take your opponent from the mat in the air during takedowns or throws to create a more dynamic move. And you'll end up getting more points and finish the move in dynamic fashion. Your girlfriend will like you more too. So here, the lift. I don't want to lift with my back bent over. You'll lose the strength in your back, strain your back. You always want to lift with your hips and your legs, keeping your back nice and straight. When I lift, I can lift with a single leg, a double leg. I'll be in this upper body. I'm going to show you a couple different types of lifts. When I'm locked around the leg, I use what's called, what everyone else that hasn't wrestled for Dan Gable refers to as a Gable grip. But when I wrestled for him, he didn't refer to it as use my own grip. So a lot of people refer to it as the wrestler's grip. So, palms together, no thumbs. Some people hold their wrist, they're only using one hand to hold. So then you can use this other one to wave to your mom when you're losing the takedown. Right here, palms together, get in my position, I lift with my thighs, with my hips. Single leg lift. I've got the double leg lift. Again, I'm in a good, lower my level, using my thighs, using my hips. I can go belly to belly if I'm looking for a soup or a throw. Here, I lower my hips. Or belly to back, my belly to his back. Here, tight grip, I lower my hips below his and lift. And that's the lift. Back step is another basic skill that's very underrated. It's definitely something that needs specific attention, and it's not given. The back step is exactly what it is. From your stance, you're going to be standing a little bit higher because this isn't a shot to the legs. This is going to be more of an upper body maneuver from a clinch, from a Greco-Roman position, from the body locks. You want to enter your hips and get them through for throws. So from your stance, you're going to be one lead leg still ahead. You're just going to be higher because, again, you're going to be in a clinch. You step forward with your right foot or your lead foot, and you back step here, your toe to heel. So here's the drill, toe to heel, back step. What you're gonna do is you lower your level and you turn to your toes. You can practice it both sides. Step, heel, toe, boom. Then step back. Here, step, here, step, back. Practice it both ways, very, very easy. Toe to heel, lower the level slightly to the toes. It's the back step. The back arch is used when you have either when you're belly to belly or belly to back on somebody and you want to take them over for a big throw. You want to look for a touch fall or looking to get more points. In the back arch, I'd have my opponent, how you practice it sometimes, prior to going to a straight back arch, you can walk yourself down a wall, or you can have your partner, you can hold their hands and you can go backwards, they kind of guide you down. And once you get to a higher level, and you have more control of the back arch without an opponent over the wall. The back arch here, I'd have my opponent clasp around the belly, either belly to belly or belly to back. What I want to do is, I'm going to step in, I'm lowering my level here, right, lowering, I'm going to hit a back arch, which will end up in a back bridge. Here, right here. My opponent would land on his back, and I would hopefully have a touch fall. If he doesn't, I'm going to roll out, so I hit back arch, I land in the back bridge, I turn over to a front bridge, I'm on top of him, I'm looking to transition to the next move. So here, step in, back arch, here, come over, looking to do the next move. So the back arch, again, clasp my opponent tight. His body and my body are one. I have no slack. When I step into him, I lower my level so I can pop my hips under, and I'm gonna pull his weight on top of my chest. Here. Right here. Land in the arch. Position, hold for my point. Circle off on top. From the mat, you have a front bridge and a back bridge. I use the front bridge and the back bridge to warm up my neck, and it's also used in a number of different scoring moves and counters. So the front bridge is exactly what it is. Forehead, position here. This is the front bridge. You can use your no hands, and I use this to stretch out my neck both ways, all four ways. Here, can move. That's the front bridge. All right, the back bridge, exactly what it is. I'm on my back, which I don't want to be. This is anti where you want to be. But if you happen to be here, you're going to need this skill to get off your back. So right here, you don't want your shoulders pinned, for obvious reasons, up to your forehead and your toes. You want off your back. You can use this to stretch your neck all four ways. You want to stretch out this way, getting your shoulders off the mat. You want to eventually go to the back bridge, and you want to turn over to the front bridge so you can get off from getting scored on. So if you happened to get to your back, you use this to get off your back. Also, from the back arch, you land in a back bridge, you want to turn over to the front bridge. So, string them all together, back arch, right there. Hold them, turn over to a front bridge. So you go back arch, back bridge, front bridge. Again, holding them tight, your opponent and you are one person, step in, arch. Right here. Back. Come up. Where am I? Okay. So, front bridge, back arch. The hip heist is a move utilized from the mat to change directions of your hips and of your lower body within a move, or to create another move or transition to another one. A hip heist is simply, looks like I'm breakdancing. I'm gonna hip heist, and my leg comes underneath the other leg. Leg comes under. Leg comes under. I'm hip heisting. My hips are facing one way and my body's facing one way. And I'm gonna hip heist, and now I'm facing 180 degrees difference, or about 90. Here, here. It's gonna be important when you're facing, you can't, hip heisting, the key to the hip heist is your leg coming underneath. If I try to go over with my leg, I can't come over the top with my leg this way. My opponent's gonna stop me. So I can keep my base low to the mat, I can scoop my leg under, and I can start looking to change directions and transition to the next move. So the hip heist, always leg under. Here, here. A sit out is used from the mat to get out from underneath your opponent. It's very simple. I'm gonna be in the referee position or down. I'm gonna sit out. Leg underneath to a sit. I'm gonna defend from here and transition to other moves, whether it be offensive, countering, defensive, stand-ups, switches. I'm here in the down position. I'm gonna get out from underneath my opponent. I hit a sit out and I look to defend. Right here. From your stance, when an opponent goes to shoot on me, I want to hit a sprawl and a down block. The first thing I'm going to do is my opponent sprawls, my hand is already in position to catch them coming in. That's why your hand is always down protecting the lead leg and never reaching. If I reach with my lead hand, that opens up my leg. That is a cue I look for when I'm wrestling somebody, when I'm tracking them. If they reach up, they have nothing protecting their lead leg. It's an immediate shot right there that's available. So you look, when you're in there and you're doing your motion, you're setting your guy up, if he sets and steps up and puts his hand up, the leg is open. So the hand sitting here, a down block, this is designed to stop your opponent. As he shoots in, he's shooting right into your arm, and that's one of your lines that you're gonna catch him with the down block. A down block with your opponent is basically the start of your sprawl. And how I practice the down block so I can, hit 10,000 repetitions, it's just here, down block. I'm blocking down, very simple, right here. I don't put my legs straight back because they can shoot through you and grab your leg. My leg disappears, right there, gone. I'm always looking straight up. I'm never looking like this. If your opponent does that to you, you're gonna move into a different move from there. You'll be able to capitalize on him being out of position. Head's always up, right there. That's the down block. That's how you practice it, right here. The sprawl starts with a good down block, and you either catch him in a front headlock, or you're gonna sprawl from the open. A good sprawl, you're gonna sprawl your hips back here, so he can't take you down, and then you don't come straight back up. Because now you're in the same spot, he can reshoot on you. You're gonna sprawl, you're gonna circle away from the lead leg. Here, sprawl, circle away from the lead leg. The reason why you circle away is when I sprawl, my opponent's right in front of me. If I bring my leg right back up, he's right there. If I come up high, like this, they can shoot on me. So I come here, sprawl, circle, come up low, like a ninja, right here. And then my movement, I can then stretch back into my stance. Getting into the clinch and moving in the clinch, pummeling is another skill within her to change the clinch position is very, very important. The clinch, or called 50-50, one hand is an underhook, one hand is an overhook, right here. I want to control the meat of the back. I put my hand on the shoulder blade. The hand that's got the underhook, that's the leg that's in the middle. You'll see very, very often, more times than not, people are uncomfortable here, they don't know the position, they have the other leg switch because it feels better this way. It feels like they can keep their hips back. But this is a very negative position to be in. I do not have control here. It feels like I do, but it is an illusion. This is control. Control, control, control. You control between the legs with the leg that you're underhooking. You control the arm here. I don't want his knee pushing mine out, opening my hips up. I control this, I stay strong. This is the land I patrol under here, in between his legs. I own this position, I own the underhook, and I control the elbow. We're gonna get into more takedowns from the clinch later. This is the basic clinch right here. And then the pummel right here, when I wanna change the clinch to the other side, I start pushing my arm in here, I push him out, he's gonna start pummeling in the other side, and I switch my feet. Now I'm clinched on the other side, and that's called a pummel. I can utilize that if he tries to dig for, he wants double underhooks, he wants this to take me down. I don't want that. As he pummels in, start pummeling here, I pummel. Switch positions. That's exaggerated, it's gonna be tighter. Here, right here. I control the pummel with the underhook. As I dig for the pummel, dig for the underhook here, I control here. I keep it tight to me, I switch and pull him right into me, so there's no space. Pummel in, that's it. The pummel's used to set up moves. It's also used to control your opponent and move your opponent. Within the clinch, there's the movement. Like we talked about when we were stance and motion. A very basic motion for the clinch is I do my 1 inch, but from the clinch. I use my shoulder pressure, and in the clinch, another position that's key, my shoulder, this is equal. My shoulders are equal in here. I want my shoulder just below his shoulder. Not too far, because if I'm really low, he can bear hug me, clinch me up, and I'm in a bad position. I keep my shoulder, I control it just below. Therefore, if he lowers to take me down, I can lower my level with him and I control. How I move him, I go 1 inch. I control that motion. 1 inch. Then I use my underhook arm to pull him around my leg. 1 inch, pull. 1 inch, pull. That's the basic motion for clinch, pummel, and movement to help set your opponent up, to help take him out of position, and control him on the mat. When my opponent takes me down, or I start in a referee position, I'm broken flat to the mat, I need to build a base and to get to my knees and into solid base so I can even look to hit one of my moves, sit out, turn in, stand up. Building a base consists of very basic, I'm just going to bring one knee up. He'll be on one side of my body or the other. Say he's on the right side, I bring my left knee up, I push over that knee, I'm in a base. From here, I'm gonna look to establish hand control and look to stand up or look to sit out, turn in, switch. With my opponent, he's taking me down, he's on top of me, right here. See how he's on one side or the other. He won't be laying directly on your back. Right here, he's on one side. This knee is free. So I'm going to pick the free knee up. I'm gonna push my body where there's no weight, right over this knee. I build a base. This is my base. From here, I can start looking to get hand control and stand up. I can look to sit out, turn in, different things, but I want to build a base. I can't sit here while the guy's on top of me and just lay here. You'll get called for stalling. So I can't just push up like this. I'm not strong, well, I'm strong enough, but most of you won't be. So I want to find the free leg, I want to build over it and start looking for hand control, start looking to stand up, or start looking for a sit. My opponent's gonna move, and I wanna control his hips. I control by just hooking over his hips. I'm controlling the hand. I'm controlling his shoulder, and I'm controlling just his body movements. I keep him tight to me. I don't want him to get away, to scramble away from me, so he can hip heist, sit out, turn in, all the things we're gonna do to him. I control his hip tight, and I keep it into me to look to transition to a turn, or if I wanna take him down, or I'm sorry, let him go, I can just let him go, but on my terms, not because he gotta stand up or turn or switch or hit a move on me. So I control his hips. When he tries to move, I just control his hips. He gets back to his base. I would call sink in a crotch pry. I don't reach around his belly. I go right into the thigh. I can use my arm to control the hips and start looking to tight waist, and I'll start transitioning to turns, pins, scoring positions. Side control is exactly what it is. I'm on the side of my opponent while he's on his back. When he's on his back, I want to look for different pinning combinations, half Nelsons, leg rides, Turks, grapevines, things we'll go over later. But I want to control him from the side. I don't want him to get back to his belly. When he gets to the side, after I controlled his hips and broke him down, he's on the side. I want to ride, I call head and arm side control. I'm riding underneath his head, which is called a reverse half. I'm looking to put my hands in his armpit, and I want to keep my hips low, and I want to control under his arm. We're in a pinning position. I'm looking for the pin and back points. If he starts to move or turn, I'm going to control my opponent, and this is side control. He's going to try to turn away, bridge out. I want to keep my hips low. I don't want to get too high because he can roll me. I want to sink my hips down while I keep good chest pressure on him, keeping him down. He doesn't want his shoulders there. I want his shoulders there. I control his head. I control his arm. So he can't hit one of the other skills worked on. There's no back bridge that's going to happen when I'm controlling his head. If I let his head go here, he can back bridge. I can't control it up here. He can start to maneuver, get off his back. When I have my hand under here, I don't allow his head to bridge on the mat. So keeping side control, not letting him turn in, not letting him turn away. Keep nice and tight, looking for the pin. Knee to knee is a skill utilized within a takedown to change angles, or from within a move to change to another move. And it's very self-explanatory, knee to knee. So I'm on one knee, I'm looking to drive one direction, I feel some resistance, or I need to change to another angle, or looking to transition to another move, I just put the other knee down. Now I can drive with the other foot. I can lift up and drive here. If I'm on this knee, I'm trying to drive this way, and my opponent's giving me some problems, I can just turn this knee, create an angle, and take them in a different direction. So it allows me to change directions within the course of a move to take my opponent down and transition to my next move. I said I might be driving him this way. I'm getting some resistance. I can turn, and now I can drive him that way. So opposing directions, it's going to be hard for him to defend everything at once, especially when I'm driving. He doesn't know which way I'm going. So I'm here. I want to drive. He's giving me resistance. Knee to knee. Take off in the other direction. So simply knee to knee. Hand fighting is used to take your opponent out of position, to look for setups to the takedowns, and to kind of brutalize, beat up, and wear your opponent down. So hand fighting can be where you're grabbing, reaching, pushing them out of position, but you also use your hands, what I call heavy hands. And we'll get into that more in the takedowns and the setups. But you want to go through the motions of controlling your opponent, his tie-ups, his elbows, his arms, his hands, his head, while you're moving, changing levels, creating angles, creating motion. And that's called hand fighting. And as you're going through the hand fighting, you're looking for openings for shots, and you're also trying to defend and counter if he shoots on you. So I'm controlling the wrist, tie-ups, pop, I'm moving. He slips off mine, controls my wrist. I can control his wrist. I'm always keeping my level nice, always in, look where I am. Good stance. I'm always in a good stance. My head is forward, I'm controlling here. Hand control, pop the head, move. Reach for the head, hand, pop the head, pushing, angles, pulling, fakes here, pop, hit the angles, fakes, pull, wear on him. I'm heavy here. I call heavy hands. I'll just grab him and hold light, like you're taking a walk with your girlfriend or boyfriend. I want to hold heavy. When I put my hands on him, I grab heavy. He goes out of position. Now he's going to try to get his position back, and I got the spring loaded. Anytime I move, I feel his pulse right now in my hand. I'm telling you, it beats him in, his heart's beating, because I got it. Right here. Everything I do. Right here. Hand fighting. Staying in position all the time. We'll get into that much more in the setups. That's the original idea. Hand fighting, controlling your opponent, wrists, arms, head, legs, angles, which then gets into controlling the soul. There are 4 lines of defense. My hands, my head, my hips, and my legs. When I'm in front of my opponent, what I do is I manage the space. I know that if I can touch my opponent, I can shoot. So I have to feel the same thing for him. If I keep my hand outstretched and I'm managing this space, the closer I bring my hand into here, he can get closer to me and set up his offense. And he can shoot to my legs quicker and execute moves, and I won't have the reaction time I have if I can have him out here. Wrestling is done in split seconds, in inches or less than inches. So every bit counts. So staying in good position, which I will reiterate throughout this technique video, always in good position, always solid technique. So my 4 lines of defense: hands, head, hips, legs. And when they try to go through my hands, my next is my head. I want to keep him blocked away. If he passes my head, my hips and my legs are there to sprawl and put pressure on him so he can't take me down. The whizzer is just simply an overhook on your opponent's arm when he's reaching for your leg. So how it happens, you're hand fighting, he takes a shot on you. He beats me to the sprawl. My hand here, I go to sprawl, my hand starts pushing his head. This hand back here is gonna go to an overhook. I just overhook his arm, it's called a whizzer. I'm able to whizzer his arm, I push on his head, and utilize the sprawl. I have this overhook, he still stays on it. I'm on the mat, it's the same thing. Whether I'm on my feet, what I'm gonna do is I'm controlling his body with the whizzer. Sometimes I can use the overhook and grab the inside of my thigh and pry him over. Same thing on the mat. I'm controlling him. I don't want him to take my back. If I don't have his arm, he can take my back right here. I don't want that. I want to control the arm. There's no takedown here. Even though I'm on the mat, there's no takedown. So I'm controlling his arm. The shallow overhook. I'm not using a thumb. I'm cupping right underneath his bicep, high in the armpit. I go not super deep to shallow, and I control him with just hooking my wrist. I control high in the armpit. I put pressure down on with my shoulder and start getting my leg back. What I can also do is he's hanging on, he's got a tight grip. I can take my palm, take it from his shoulder, which I'm controlling, and I put the palm on my thigh. I extend my leg, I post, try to get him over. That's the whizzer. I still continue to hold my whizzer because right now there's no control from the opponent, so there's no takedown. Although I'm in a bad position, I can increase my position by keeping the whizzer and adding one of our basic skills to it. I'm gonna put a little pressure to get him down, and I need to get my bottom leg out of here. I'm gonna utilize a hip heist. So I push down, I get pressure going towards his head, I'm gonna slide my bottom leg out, and I hip heist. One of the other skills we learned. Right here, I can't move my legs over each other. I have the whizzer, I put pressure into him, I need my bottom leg out to here, and then go to the sprawl. All wrestling matches start on your feet. The goal of a wrestling match is to take your opponent down and pin him, or to score points, more points than he does, demoralize him, beat him up physically, mentally, and win that way. The choice is yours. But every wrestling match starts on your feet. So in this next section, we're going to handle setups to tie-ups, setups to the shots, and then the shots themselves to the different takedowns, which we're going to go over: the snatch single, head outside single, doubles, singles to doubles, and the like. When I'm with my opponent here, I'm in my good stance, I can't just shoot on him here. I know that I need to set him up. So one thing I like to do is just a little fake. I need to get him out of position. A little fake, right there. He's gonna react to that like I'm gonna shoot at his leg, so he's concerned about defending this leg, which he should be. But I'm disguising that. I want the tie up. I know he's gonna defend my first motion. So when I go fake, I tie him up. There's some different tie-ups we're gonna use: collar and wrist, single wrist, 2-on-1 wrist. Those are my favorite ones, and there's the most basic as well. So all these fakes are gonna be to setups to the tie-ups. We're gonna look at the collar and the wrist, or the wrist control. So right here, fake, tie-up. Right there. In addition to not only just faking, I can fake and move and change my levels. So here, fake, I move, fake, right here. I want to get him moving up and down, side to side, backwards and forwards. Not on his own accord. I'm driving the car again, and I want him to be off balance. So everything I do has intent. Nothing is random. Everything, every motion, every fake, tie him up. I want him concerned about defending, and I tie him up. I've used my fakes, I've used my level change, I've used my angles and motion to set my opponent up in order to tie him up, and here's a couple of tie-ups. One is I like to just grab a single wrist, one wrist. I only reach with my hand low. I can reach low. I don't reach up. This hand is out in front of me. I reach low, single wrist tie-up right here. Grab with one wrist, and I keep this hand up as my first line of defense, looking to defend right here. And then that's the first one. A second tie-up, sometimes I grab this wrist like a baseball bat. I can reach here, I reach in, I grab it just like a baseball bat, I pull it into me, and I keep head position right here. What I want to do is I want to get my opponent out of position. And I feel like I have a really nice control when I have both here. I keep head position so he doesn't get head position on me and able to counter me. I keep good head position. Here's my line of defense, and my offense is working simultaneously. Another setup I like, this is actually my favorite. When I wrestle at Iowa, we have a real rough style of wrestling. It's a lot of head pummeling, snap, pops. It's a very, very physical style of wrestling. I like having the wrist and the collar tie. I don't have my hand on his neck. It's on the head, right here. Forehead to forehead or forehead to temple. That's the only position I have my head. If he has his forehead into my temple, he has an angle on me. Ear to ear, never. The only time that you're ear to ear is if it's your girlfriend, you're telling her secrets. There's no time when I need to be like this or this with my opponent. That is for secret telling and slow dancing. I want to brutalize my opponent's face and side of his head with my forehead. I'm always looking for position with my forehead. I'm going to utilize the head for different type of pops and snaps, which you get into when we do the setups for the shots. Another tie-up is the collar and the bicep. I just block him from coming in. One, I have his wrist. Another, I block his bicep. Now that you have your opponent tied up with the tie-up that you want, you can look to set him up and look for the takedown. My favorite, which you can really rough this guy up with a lot, is the collar and the wrist. The collar and the wrist, when I have it here, again, my forearm is a bar that goes right here. If I just grab his head like this, there's nothing stopping him. If he shoots in on me, my hand goes right over his back. So he shoots in, my hand's here. I have a bar right here. If he shoots in, I take my elbow and shove it right to his chest. This right here keeps him from shooting in on me, and it gives me one additional line of control. So right here, I have my head, forehead to forehead, or forehead to temple, and I use my forearm to keep him away from me. I have the wrist controlled nice. I can pop him here, pop. I want to get him stepping. I want to catch angles on him. Do a little pop. He wants to right his position. See how he steps? He comes up. I'm in my stance, ready to blow through him. Bad stance, bad posture, because I pulled him out of position. That's just with a simple pull. He wants to right himself. He comes up. Here I am. If he doesn't come up, I pull, front headlock, right into the position. So I can pull him straight to the mat. The portion of this one I really like. I love to beat this guy up real bad, super bad. When I'm here, again, I don't pull on his neck because he can keep his head up and his neck is strong. I want his head. As soon as I do this, I break the contact, I lose my counter offense here, I lose my defense, I lose my positioning, like I'm getting frustrated and he can shoot right on me here. Boom, he counters me, takes me down off my own setup. That's not gonna happen here. It's all in the wrist, in the pull, the level change. It all works in tandem. Here, when I pull him, again, I don't just pop him down so he can grab my leg. When I pop him, I pull, I put heavy hands on him, he carries my weight. He doesn't want to be there, he's gonna come up. When he comes up, I'm already situated for the shot. In addition to that, I want to rough his head up, bad. When I'm here, I gotta hear a crack on his head every time. When I'm here, every time, here. And again, I'm not picking my arm up. I gotta feel that every time. Here, right here. I want the initial shot, smack the head. The first thing you do is you flinch for a second. That allows me to shoot in and take him down. It's also rough. It's also, he doesn't like this. He's gonna come back aggressive and typically out of position. So be very, very aggressive in here. Snaps, pops, looking for legs, looking for angles. I can give him a shove, he comes back, pop him down. Always in position, always using my level change to put extra weight on him and to always be in position ready to shoot. So when I get that nice pop, he comes up, I look for the front headlock. If he comes up hard, comes up off the mat, I can look to take my shot. So just physical. You beat this guy's head up a lot. It changes the spectrum of the whole match. Being real physical. Here. Here. Fake. Front headlock. I want him to think I'm going for this leg, and I slap his leg hard. When I'm in here, I want a nice crack on it. I want him to feel my hand. I control him up here. Here. He thinks he defended it because it feels hard. It feels like there was something there. But I don't want this leg. I want him to move it back. I want this. Another setup. So you have your fakes. You have misdirections. You have pops. Everything to get him out of position. Goes back to one of the basic skills we learned, hand fighting. We're gonna go through a series of these things. There's techniques and concepts. Some of the technique is how to move him out of position. And the concept is you have to move him out of position in order to get your shots, in order to get your setups, in order to get your takedowns. So you move him out of position, which is the concept, put him in inferior position, and then use your technique. Good position with the forearm, good pops, snaps, level changes, put the weight on him, look for his reaction. Does he pop up? Shoot. Does he pop down? Go to the front headlock. So work through these different things and string them together. Post, pop, outside shot, fake. Keep working through them, string them together. The more you can make this person or your opponent out of position, the better chance at taking the guy down. Throughout the course of the wrestling match, you're gonna be hand fighting, going back and forth with tie-ups and setups. Some of the time, hopefully all the time, you're getting your tie-ups, your setups, your shots, and your takedowns. But on the infrequent occasion, you allow your opponent to tie you up. There's a few things that you need to do that are non-negotiable. There's a few things that you have to do when they tie you up, certain grabs, certain movements that you have to do. When my opponent grabs my wrist, for me, I know his hand is right there. He's gonna try to pull, he's gonna try to push me around. I don't wanna, when he pulls my hand, I don't wanna pull back because he's gonna be able to shoot on me. When my opponent pulls my hand, I step with it, blocking. So my hand is ready to block. So as he pulls, I step in. If I pull back, I'm out of position, he steps in. When he pulls my wrist, I step in. I close the gap. And I look for my head tie up, and I'm closing. He wants to pull again, I keep stepping in. Again, that gear, forward pressure all the time. When my opponent reaches and grabs both hands 2-on-1, I like this because now I know where both of his hands are, and they're nowhere near protecting his face. So what I like to do is I like to blast my opponent in the head. Both hands are here. When he grabs, I don't ever want to stand up and don't pull, because he has my hands here, nothing can protect here. I just blast him as hard as I can in the head, right here. I want to hit him as hard as I can. It's completely legal to hit as hard as you can. You're not gonna be able to open slap him in the face, although sometimes it happens because they see it coming, they pull back, and you end up slapping the daylights out of them. And that's all right. But right here, what I wanna do, as he grabs both my wrists, I'm in my stance, I don't come really high, I reach up, it's just an up crack to the head. Doesn't feel good for him, he's gonna pull back, and you can start hand fighting in here, looking for head position, rolling wrists out. I don't want to just automatically try to roll my wrists out, because if he lets go, I'm out of position. I want to counter with a head attack. Both hands, nothing protecting, right here. Looking for this. Last one, when my opponent ties my collar up, there's only one thing. One thing. Ties my head up, I tie his elbow up. That is it. There is no takedown he has. As long as I keep head position, which again, forehead to forehead, or my forehead to one of his temples, and I control his elbow. As long as I control the elbow, there is no takedown. He ties me up, I control the elbow. I stay in my good stance. If I can, I look for wrist control. We're gonna be hand fighting over here. He wants my wrist, I want his wrist. I control, I can easily just clear it off by stepping to the side, lowering my level, and shoving his elbow off. Right here. I can clear it, look for my shot, or circle around. He grabs my head, elbow. That is it. I don't try to shoot on him from here. I grab the elbow. He's gonna feel me shoot from here. And he's gonna sprawl right here. I grab the elbow. I wanna clear this arm. How I clear it is I lower my level, circle, and shove his arm off at the same time. Slow motion, right here. I lower my level. I don't look to the ground with my head like this. Puts me in a bad position. Elbow control, whether it has my wrist or not. Step around, lower the level, and look. Clear the tie up. Again, I went over this in the section where I had him tied up. If he ties my head up, and I then tie his head up, we're ear to ear, you should quit wrestling. You should never be in this position. This position is, you shouldn't even tell your girlfriend secrets from this position. You shouldn't even be here. It's ridiculous. We have the same thing, and we're gonna run around and dance like this. He's gonna shoot on me, I'm gonna shoot on him. Ear to ear is a stalemate. You can't do anything from there. He ties my head up, tie the elbow, stay in a good stance. Clear. Now that we've done the setups and the tie-ups and the setups to tie-ups, we want to get into the takedowns. We're going to go through a number of different takedowns, and I'm going to use different tie-ups for the takedowns, but I want you to pick from the setups and the tie-ups that we went through that on this DVD or some that you like and add them to the takedowns. Like I said before, I don't want to take away from what you're doing or change, I just want to add. So you can take an example of what we did for the setups and tie-ups and mix it up. Practice all of them. You should know all the moves and all the techniques that you can in order to be a better wrestler. So the first technique we're going to go through is the snatch single when the head hits the ribs and when it doesn't hit the ribs. First thing, I like to have my good tie-up. I pop my opponent, he comes up, I hit the ribs with my head. What it does is what I want to do is as my opponent comes up, his motion is coming up, I hit his ribs and push him back, and it makes the front leg light. So the idea of my head hits him straight, it makes his foot very light. I'm transferring his weight to the back foot so I can snatch the front leg. So when I pop his head and he comes up, as he's coming up, I step in right here at the same time. I cross my hands in the back. Sometimes they're crossed palm to top of my hand. Sometimes they're clasped here. All that matters is I get my hands closed. Sometimes I miss the leg. He starts getting the leg back. I end up grabbing the back of the tendons on the back of his leg. My goal is to, when I step in to snatch, my arms are far past his leg. Whether I grab the Gable grip, grab the top of my hand, or end up getting the leg. I want to have my hands past, my level low, and I'm ready to snatch the leg straight back. Whether I just hit him here and pull back, finish it high in the armpit, single leg, and I start walking backwards. This is where I want to be before I start my single leg finishes. The second technique, same snatch single, but my head doesn't hit the ribs. I'm a little bit further away from my opponent. When I pop my opponent, he comes up, I step in, but my head doesn't hit. I'm right here. My hand's wrapped behind the leg, and I pull his knee straight to my chest. Again, I'm gonna reiterate. When I pop his head and he comes up, I wanna be entering, as he's coming up, my foot and my hands and my head hit at the same time. So when he comes up, snatch, come back. I wanna come back, his foot stops here. I enter in one step, pop, I catch. Ready to finish the single leg. The head doesn't hit the ribs, pop, comes up, right here. Ready to finish the single leg. All high crotches start the same way with a different finish. The basic part of the high crotch, when I set my opponent up, give him a little pop. When he comes up, I enter in tight, right to here. My trail leg and my trail hand are back. This is tight. My trail arm and my trail leg come together at the same time. I keep my back straight. I'm looking up and my head is tucked tight to his body. I don't want any space in here. When I come up here, I come around, clasp the hands, Gable grip, tight, in a good position with my hips and my thighs engaged, tight to his body, lift. Pop the head, comes up. I want to penetrate deep to the thigh, as deep as I can, right here. Trail leg comes up, lift. This is the high crotch from a single to a double. Same, high crotch, trail leg comes up, not all the way up. Too tight, I don't get any push off. I'm gonna be cutting the corner. I need some push off room here. So this is a better position for me to get more power. Tight, head tucked tight. I'm gonna drive across
As I start driving is when I switch this leg, hand to the leg, and I switch to the double. You see how his weight's transferring. If I switch to the double right here, he can sprawl on me because I don't have his weight moving. So here, start driving, change to the double. Here, enter, leg comes out, good room to drive. Start driving off the leg, head tight, single to the double. When you start to switch to the double on your opponent, he blocks your arm and gets his weight down, he doesn't want to get lifted. You have to change the angle and dump him to his back. I shoot the single high crotch, I go to switch to the double, he blocks my arm. And he puts his weight down because he doesn't want to get lifted. As I feel him block, I have to step back and pivot and bow my head straight to the mat. Step back, dump him down. So when I pop, I'm tight. When I go to switch to the double, he's blocking my arm. I come up, he's blocking, I take him back the other way. Bow, control the leg. Bow to the sensei. Another situation you find yourself in is when you hit the high crotch, he might beat you a little bit to the high crotch on his sprawl. So you aren't able to change to the double or to the lift. So you get kind of stuck towards the mat. You don't want to stop there. You never stop on your knees. So when I shoot this high crotch, as I shoot, he starts to sprawl. When he sprawls, I can't hit my double here. I'm in bad position. So what I got to do is, one of the basic skills, knee to knee. I need his weight off of me. I switch to the knee, and I look for his ankle. Control the thigh, head tight, knee, duck behind him, let him fall off my back, control the thigh, control the ankle. In back for the takedown, look to transition. High crotch, he sprawls, knee to knee. This is the outside single. Sometimes when my opponent leads an opposite leg, if he's a left-handed person or leads the left leg, I can't shoot my high crotch because I'd be shooting to a leg that's back too far. Or sometimes I like to take the guy with the right leg lead and set him up and pull his left leg so I can hit what's called the outside single. My opponent's with the regular right-legged lead. I want this back leg. Or sometimes my opponent has a left leg lead. I can't shoot the high crotch there because I'd be shooting to the back leg too far away and he can sprawl on me. Right here. I never shoot to the back leg. I want to set him up and bring the back leg forward or shoot to the front leg. One, this leg is already here. All I do is pull. I want the weight pulling across in here. So as I shoot, this leg comes back. I come up to the single. Ready for the finish. Other time, this leg is back. I'm gonna pull the back leg towards me and hit the outside single. So when I pull, I step circular here. This leg comes forward. I don't move this leg. I don't pull and step, or else I'll keep the same distance between us. This leg stays. I pull him through me and come right behind to the outside single. So I pull him through right here. Head stays up, drive him up, come to the single. Ready for the finish. Double leg takedown is both violent and beautiful at the same time. You can finesse it and come down nice and soft, or you can bring them high and put a little violence into the mix. Put them down hard, knock them senseless a little bit, look for the pin, look for the points. First one is the regular penetration step, head to the outside double. Pop, he comes up, I step in, right here, my first car crash. Tight, back straight, tight on the legs, head tucked tight. I'm going to step up, and I'm not lifting him off the mat. I'm just cutting the angle on him. I'm gonna drive across, just like it was single to the double, but this one we're just hitting the double and drive in the corner and hit the ground, keeping him low. Trap the outside of his knee so he can't step out. Second double, so you can lift and get him airborne. Just to make you find girlfriends in the crowd, makes everyone say ooh nah. And it's nice, it feels real smooth for you and sometimes bad for him. So right here, same setup, pop, he comes up, nice penetration. I step up, and I lift, and I swing his legs out. Lift, swing his legs out. I want to take him down towards his back. On this double, I stood up, and you can bring him down in the same spot. Sometimes, depending on how hard he's fighting, how hard you turn the corner, you have a lot of travel. So that one, I kind of stood up and lifted him. I'll show the same one with a little bit of travel, a little more violence. Now we're gonna go to the high crotch to the high amplitude double. We call a flare double. As I come up, I want to finish off the mat. So when I start changing to the double, I lift him, swing his legs out, take him to his back. So what happens in the blast double, I want to get my opponent out of position as always. When I give him a nice pop to the head, he comes up and I want to put my forehead into his chest immediately. As he's coming up, my head is coming in. I'm grabbing behind the legs, my forehead's in his chest. My forehead hits the chest, and I call it burning the eyelids. And it's exactly that. If you do it right and he has a shirt on, you'll feel your eyelids a little burned. Keep it nice and tight. You're gonna use your forward blast from your hips and your head to extend his body over, and you're gonna pull his legs to you. That's the blast double. So I pop him down, he comes up, step in, head to the chest, trap the back of both knees, start driving through him, drive his weight back, and keep running through. Hop, drive straight through. I'm gonna shoot the double. This time I'm gonna turn the corner on him. He's gonna beat me to the sprawl. I don't wanna stay underneath him because he's gonna end up sprawling on me and capitalizing, possibly taking me down. So when I shoot on me sprawls, I'm gonna hit the knee to knee and do the Houdini. Won't leave his weight on top of me, get out to the side, take his back. Sprawls out, take the back. Control the leg, come up, control the back, control the hips. Looking to score points. I isolate that leg when I turn the corner so he can't scramble out. Sometimes you get behind your opponent and you need to know how to take him to the ground safely. In freestyle Greco-Roman, you can do what's called a souffle. You can lift them up and drop them on their back using what we did with the back arch in one of the basic moves or basics of wrestling. This time, you get behind your opponent here. How you get here? Multiple ways. Takedowns, duck unders, scrambles. Very basic way. Let's just say I went to shoot on him. He sprawled, I came up behind him, and I have him here. Sometimes if I go for the lift, he can hook my leg right here. So it doesn't work. There's two really high percentage moves when you're behind your opponent. One is the heel trip, and the other one is the hip lock or the hip crush. The first one, the heel trip. Both of these are very, very high percentage and do not put you at risk for getting taken down or having to move reversed on you. When I'm behind my opponent, I like to get control of one hand. I control this tight, and I take my other hand, I control his arm tight. No slack in here. I keep my chest glued to his back. I take one leg, which is the opposite side of where I have the arm trapped. I step between his leg. The other leg steps right behind his heel. And then I sit in a chair, and this knee rams right up his butt. So here's what it looks like. I sit, trip, here. Control, tighten here. I have my leg controlling the center here. When I control, I just take my foot, I block the heel here, and sit into a chair, roll off to my shoulder, putting the knee up the butt. Right here, tight, trap, right here. Keeping tight, controlling this wrist. Because I'm gonna be able to transition to some different back points from here, and some different holds. Sometimes I can't get control of this wrist here. Sometimes he's fighting my hands, he gets his hands free. And so I'm locked around here. I do not want to do the heel trip without a hand because he will reverse me. So what I do here is what I call the hip lock or a hip crush. I have my forearm, I put it right in the crux of his hip. And I want to crank, I crank my arms in. And basically try to give him a Charlie horse or lock his hip and kind of try to break, I guess try to take his thigh out of the socket of his hip is what I'm trying to do. I pull him here and crush him down. Release, looking for back points. It doesn't look like a lot. It's the pressure you're putting with your forearm and rolling it under right into the crux of the hip. It locks his hip and thigh here, and he can't move. It's putting all of his weight on him and immobilizing this. So here, crush the forearm, crushing it in, trying to push his leg and break his leg out of the socket. Crush it down, take the back. Okay, we've already went over some takedowns that finished with the leg up. We call the leg up single. Did an outside single, a single leg, a high crotch single, snatch single. You can finish in the doubles, you can finish in the dumps. This now is a series where you end up with the single leg high in the armpit. There's two different places the leg's gonna be. There's gonna be high up in the armpit, across your body, and high up on the same side. I'll make note of that in the different techniques. The first one's the cobra. Why? Because I keep my arm like a cobra. This looks like a cobra, not a grass snake. So, what I do, take the cobra, hook it right above his knee. I want to have it here, tight. How I want to finish this move is I start, there's no table leg here. I have the leg. I back up and circle, I want to put him on his back. So as I back up, quick steps, I lower and circle. So I come here, back, finish on my feet. Again, I back up as I lower my level and hit the corner, a big arc. Lower level, tight here. Hand is not stretched out straight. And I'm not trying to pull his leg. I'm putting pressure down. I'm making him do a one-legged squat as I back up and hit the corner. Finish on my feet. A common mistake people make is they try to pull him down. People pull and they go to their leg. If he doesn't go down, my hips are lower than his. He's gonna drive into me and take me down. I wanna stay in that superior position. Tight, lower the level, circle, take him to his back, finish on the feet. Right here. I just look for a foot sweep. When I'm sitting here, I kind of walk with him. He's got a hop. I move him. He's got a hop. I take the inseam of my foot. I catch the back of his foot. Stay up high. I make him hop. Sweep it out. Finish to the side, looking for back points, controlling him. Another one I just call the leg kick. The leg kick, I kick him right in the crux of the knee and try to fold his knee in half. It's like a low kick, right there. Down to side control. Another one I like to do, it's just for pain purposes. Probably won't take him down, but it's gonna hurt real bad. What you do is instead of kicking him in the crux of the knee to buckle him, you kick him just below the calf muscle. He's not gonna go anywhere because the rubber of his shoe is gonna catch the mat, and it just sounds like a thud. You kick it for everything you're worth, and my high school coach used to say, it hurts like the dickens, and it does. So I've always remembered that since '84, just so we're clear. So, hurts like the dickens, finish, part one. You kick him right here, boom, and you just hear the thud. You just hear it, and that's just on the light. You get the laces right on the calf. He loves this, by the way. And he's not gonna go down, but it's gonna hurt. Then you transition to another finish. Give him a couple boots here, and then you can then kick high to crumble him, or you can boot him here, and look for the cobra finish. I like to put the leg on the shoulder, stretch him out and run him to his back. So how I transition that, I have the hand or the leg high in the armpit, tight. Outside hand, cradle his calf, hook it. As I transition, my knee comes up, underhook the leg. And then I lower my level, I take my hand, I punch right towards his face. You might hit him in the face sometimes, but that's okay because it's not intentional sometimes. And I want to face him and get his foot on my shoulder. So I'm going to lower the level, face him, punch towards his face. Right here. I stand up, buckle his knee down, control coming down. The reason why I bring my knee up, if I just try to transition to the underhook, he can pull his leg down. He's going to pull it down. I'll lose the leg. So I do a very quick transition here. I just come to the knee, it blocks it. I can switch. If I try to switch, he pulls his leg down, hits my knee, it's right up. Right here, I can buckle the knee, or I walk, shove him up. Finish on the feet, look to cover. Another one here, I call the treetop. Cradle, make the switch. What I do is walk out, lift his leg to the ceiling. I want to take him up off this leg. If the guy's real tall, this might not work, but shorter guys, especially when I feel tall compared to my opponent, I take him out for the treetop. Cover, side control, looking for the pin. All those finishes, I had the leg, what I call across my body. The leg's across my body here. Sometimes you'll have it on the same side of your body. Depending on what leg was forward, how we fought off the single, how the leg came up in your armpit, whatever it might be, if you have a favorite way you like to finish with leg on either side, you have to know how to transition the leg to either side. I just call it cradling the baby. I take one arm, the arm that doesn't have it high in the armpit, I stick it underneath and cradle it. I take a step back so my hips can move, and I cradle it to the other side of my body. Pick it up high. It's always two arms on the leg. Cradle it out, here, right here. Got it high, cradle it through, pick it to the armpit. Cradle it, pick it to the armpit. Right here, cradle to the armpit. Either side you want the leg on, transition it by cradling it back and forth. Take my hand, stiff arm him, Heisman style, and walk a quick, like a penetration step. He can't follow me back. I'm pushing. What I want to do is, this is tight so his foot doesn't slip. What I do is I push. As I push, I step. I can sometimes catch a little trip, or maybe not. It's not the intention to look for the trip, but the trip is there. I don't look for it because you can get crossed up trying to trip the guy. I post off his chest to transition his weight back and step through faster than he can step backwards. Here, I cuff the head and bring the head right to the knee where there's nothing. I come here, I cuff the head. he's not strong here. I can bring his head right to his knee and keep bringing it. I start walking in a circle, cuff, bring it down with the transition for your points. Sometimes the leg, as you try to pull it up, gets stuck here. What I like to do, I just call this a dump or running the pipe. It's not gonna be so much running the pipe, but more like a dump. I really control the foot here, and I really control his thigh with my bicep. My shoulder is over the top of his thigh. If my shoulder's here, I don't have any pressure. I wanna have my shoulder over the top so I can pressure. I'm gonna pressure him down and crush the hip down. Similar in nature to the trip where you crush the hip. Here, he put it in between my leg. That's sometimes the defense. I pinch it so I can control it. I have the nice Gable grip over the top. I flex Arnold style, tight, put the shoulder down, dump. Finish on your feet. Here, foot's in between. Come here, flex, dump. Look to transition, points, pins. Another finish, if they happen to put the leg in here, I control by pinching the ankle. I'm in the single leg. I don't want to stay here. I want to keep my head up. I don't want to be down. He can sprawl on me. Forehead up. What I do is I cradle the thigh right here, right above the knee. Pinch it tight. So I'm gonna roll my hand down. I'm gonna slide my hand down to the ankle as I lower my level and step back. Right here, this stops him and this from getting his foot off my leg. And I pull right up to the single. Look for my single leg finish. The sprawl, which is one of the basic skills of wrestling, and the down block are absolutely critical in controlling the match. Whether you're on your feet or on the ground, you get there because you want to be there, not because you were taken down. So when my opponent looks to shoot on me, whether it's a single, double, head inside, head outside, I want to counter that with a sprawl. My opponent's going to shoot from the outside, and I'm going to connect two of the basic skills together, the down block and the sprawl. I want to stop him from getting to my leg. So I'm in my good stance, which is already set up, a nice defensive position, my lines of defense. As he goes to shoot on me, he goes to shoot, I down block and sprawl. I have my hand above the elbow. The other hand is only chin deep. I tuck my chin into his armpit for extra control. And my shoulder is right in between his shoulder blades so I can pressure in on him. I don't want to be high when I finish this sprawl, because see how high I am? He can go right to my leg and I'm going to slip right over his back. I'm too high. I keep my shoulder placement right here at the base of his neck between the shoulder blades. I'm on my toes, chin tucked in here. I like my chin tucked in here for two reasons. I have an extra level of control on his arm, and if my chin is on his back, it bends my neck, and you can hurt your spine that way, and you don't have the control. You can move around. So a nice sprawl ends in a front headlock position, looking to then score, transition to the back, and then go behind different things we can do from there. You want to sprawl. You don't want his hands touching your legs. So there's two things you want. Ends in a good front headlock, and if his legs, her hands are anywhere on my legs below where my butt cheek meets my leg, you have to keep sprawling. Half sprawls, you might as well not sprawl, because you're going to get taken down. My basic stance sets up my foundation for everything. When he shoots on me, I down block and sprawl. Right here. I'm on my toes, my shoulder's in the base of his neck, hand is only chin deep, tuck the chin, control the arm. This is where I'm complete, right here. Now is a sprawl when my opponent shoots and his head is on the outside of my body in a double or a single leg position. There's three things I do. I'm gonna teach them to you one at a time, but they're done, what I call simultaneous. There's a lot of simultaneous things that happen in wrestling because they happen very quick. 3 things, 3 S's. Stuff the head, sprawl the hips and legs, and square up on top of his head. So I stuff the head, I start sprawling, I square my hips up on top of his head. And notice I'm still high on the back, I don't have control of the arm. I keep sprawling until I lock into my good front headlock position. Chin tucked, control the arm, shoulder in the neck, hand chin deep, right here. I stuff the hand closest to his head. I don't cross. Stuff the head, start controlling the arm, sprawl, square up over his head. He carries my weight on his head, continue to sprawl back till I'm in the front headlock position. Chin deep, chin in his armpit, control the arm, shoulder in the base of his neck between his shoulder blades, driving in. Your opponent shoots a head on the inside single. Here are the steps. Shoots the head, comes to the inside. The hand closest to the head, stuff, sprawl, square up. Come down, chin deep, control the arm, tuck the chin in the armpit, shoulder in between the shoulder blades, driving in. I want to control him and put good pressure on him. Head to the inside, 3 S's again. Stuff, sprawl, square. Here, square up, make him carry my weight on his head. Sprawl down, here. I'm keeping everything nice and tight. Chin, arm, hand chin deep, shoulder to shoulder blades, little pressure. His head's on the inside. I go to sprawl, but he beats me. And he's got a nice grip. I go to sprawl, I can't get my leg back. I'm trying to get the leg back, but he sucks my leg underneath me. Here. It's called getting cracked down. Some people use that as a finish. Some people use it after they sprawl, they crack your leg down. This is the position. What I want to do from here, when he cracks my leg underneath, I post my hand so I don't fall to my back. I stuff his head right under my thigh, and I put my knee to his shoulder. That keeps his head isolated. I dig my arm deep under his belly and put my chest on his back. I stay nice and tight right here. This foot, I want to get the sole of my shoe, the side of it on the mat. I post, lift, I don't extend my body. Tight, drive him to this hip. At the same time, sprawl back, take the back side control, look for the pin. Shoots head on the inside. I go to sprawl, he beats me, cracks me down, post, stuff, cover. Cover here, and cover. I don't want his head coming out, and I don't want this arm coming to a double. I don't want this. So he's on my single, cover, cover. Can't get the arm out. Stay tight. Post, get him dropped to this hip, sprawl back, take the back. When he gets my leg up, he's got a variety of different finishes that we went over, whether the leg's on the inside or the outside. He's got a number of finishes. I don't want him to finish. The counter to this, and you have to hit it pretty quick, is he's got my leg high in his armpit. I want to use my leg to curl him up towards me. I pull him in towards me. I pull him in at the same time. At 3 things happen simultaneously. I told you, everything happens at the same time. I pull him in. I get his hold of his elbow and his collar. I open his elbow so there's space. I push my leg through, and I jam my leg back, sprawling. right here to get my leg free. The collar, like our collar tie, as we learned before, ends with a bar right here, so he can't shoot on me. He's got the leg up. I pull him into me. At the same time, grabbing the elbow in the head, right here. Open his elbow so I see space. Jamming my leg through, shoving it back, get my level low. Open it, stuff. I'm in a good position where I can pop his head. He comes up. I'm in my stance. There's all my moves. Single legs, double legs, outside singles, blast doubles. You take your pick. Everything comes from the counter. As I said before, there's no defense. It's counter offense. I counter his offense, open it up, take it back. I'm looking to score. There's the single. He doesn't want to come up. Here's my front headlock. Good front headlock position. Counter, open it. There's my, I pull him down, he comes up. Everything we've done, you're right back to the same place. Here, open, sprawl, pops up. Look at my stance. The counter to the counter. So, I have his leg. He wants to counter me by curling his leg up, grabbing my head, grabbing my elbow. I can't let this happen because I know what's gonna happen. Open, jam, sprawl. So when I'm here, I keep this up nice and high and tight. Most people do not use the leg to pull you in. Most people only reach here. They don't use the leg because this is actually stronger than anything. They don't do that. They leave it here and they just reach with their hand. When they reach the counter, grab the elbow, I circle and throw his hand off, or throw his hand off my head. Right here. Look to take the back. Again, the counter to the counter, to the counter, to the counter. So if I poisoned your drink and you poison my drink and we just change the drinks. So right here, he just reaches. If he was to do it properly, it would be very difficult to counter because he would pull me in, he would grab my elbow at the same time. I can't counter here anymore. But this is what everybody does. And I mean 99.9% of people. That's a fact. Here, they reach. That's it. Maybe he's got me in a situation where I can't whizzer him. I try to whizzer him over, but he's keeping a good base. I can't whizzer. It's called a quarter Nelson. So he's got my leg, I can't get out. I take my hand, I stuff his head, grip my own wrist. I'm gonna use my hand to torque his head under here. Here, take the back. Here, I go to whizzer. I can't get him off my leg. I can't get the pressure down. My last one, ditch effort, stuff the head, grab my own wrist. I use my arm to torque him under, reverse half, side control. He shoots on my leg, he beats me. I go to sprawl, I don't want to let him get cracked down, I don't want him to take my back, I've got to control him. I go to a whizzer, right here. This isn't a takedown yet. He's over my back, I have the whizzer. I've got to pressure into him, prying, I use my hand on my thigh. I use this as a pry, get him here, and then I sprawl back and look to take his back or do a front headlock. I go to sprawl, he gets my leg, he starts taking the back, I put the whizzer in. I put pressure on him, come back, if he's on his back, I look to hold him there. If he comes forward, front headlock. The front headlock is a position that you will be in your wrestling match. Whether you're underneath or on top, you will be in some variation of the front headlock. I sprawl and I get him sprawl square, I want to keep his head right underneath my chest and stomach. I want him to carry the weight right here. When I put my arm to his chin, my elbow is in, which creates a frame here. My chest is a frame, and the arm that controls his tricep is also elbow in. This is what I call a tight picture frame, right in here. Right there. That creates this part of the frame. Elbow in. I don't want him to peek his head out. The other arm or the hand is only chin deep, and this arm, the elbow is in, creates the tight frame. If I have my hand too deep, even though my elbow's in, his lifeline is to grab my arm. I've got to get this arm free. I've got to pull it out and get the chin back. If he starts pulling my elbow here, he starts getting the elbow, I've got to pull it up. I've got to pull it up and keep my tight picture frame in here so his head can't come out. If he's able to peek his head out the side, he can peek his head out and take my back. I've got to control his head. I control his head in here. So when I sprawl down to the perfect front headlock and put him in a tight picture frame and pressure into him. That's where the next move will transition from. When we're on our feet, very common position, my stance, my tie-up. When I pop my opponent, sometimes he doesn't pop back up because he knows I'm going to take him down. So he tries to stay low. Well, if his head is below my chest, I can just pull him into a front headlock. And here we are into the front headlock position. Hand chin deep, other hand controlling the elbow. My shoulder directly between the shoulder blades, creating that tight picture frame so his head can't peek out. And I keep my elbow free, putting pressure on him, get him. You'll see his pressure go back over his heels. That's where I want. If he shoots on me and I sprawl, the sprawl ends in the front headlock, which then you would transition into your scoring moves from the front headlock series. The first move is just a push and pull and go behind. This is the #1 scored takedown in all of wrestling. When I get into my front headlock, I have my shoulder placed right at the base of his neck, and I'm pushing his weight back over his heels. He doesn't want to go back. You'll feel some resistance. When you feel the resistance, you snatch him to the side of you, not directly into you. You're going to snatch him off on an angle and take his back. You'll notice I'm in a good front headlock position. When I push into him, you'll see the weight go back. He doesn't like that. He'll push forward. Snatch him forward, take his back. What you're in a sense doing is loading this spring. And when he pushes back, I use the force from the spring and snatch him right by me. Push, pull, go behind. The most basic of them all. Good front headlock, I push, he pushes back, pull, take the back. The second one. I want to have my opponent in a good front headlock, and I push. He doesn't resist the push. I need to open him up. So he's sitting in here nice with good balance. He's strong in here in this kind of turtle position. I need to get all the weight on his hands so he can't block me from going behind. So I want to just keep pulling him forward until he's stretched out and the weight is primarily on his hands. So I do a series of little pulls, not one big pull, a series of small ones. I'm protecting my leg. If I take one big pull, he takes me down. Little pulls here, pull, back up, pull. See how he's getting stretched out? And I pull and go behind. Again, he's staying tight here. Keep him tight, tight picture frame. Give him a little push. He's not pushing back. I've got to pull. I pull, 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 hit the back. One detail that's very important when you're taking the back and come around, I don't reach my hand to his stomach. Because right here, he can grab my hand and he can roll me right here. He's gonna control my hips and roll me. When I take my opponent's back this way, I come around, my hand goes into what I call the crotch pry. Palm of my hand on the inside of his thigh. I like to stay tight. What I'm doing is controlling his hips so he can't roll, can't escape. One of the basics, controlling the hips. Right in here, control his hand. I'm looking for maybe some tilts, some turns, some breakdowns, but most important, I don't want to get reversed, and I want to control his hips for my points. So when I take the back, when I come around, this hand slips in. I use this to pry and control the hips. I don't reach deep to the stomach. So again, he's staying with a nice base. I've got to open him up, put the weight on his hands. I'm gonna do a series of small pulls, and after one of the pulls, it might be the first one, third, fifth, you're gonna notice most of his weight on his hands. That's when you wanna pull and immediately slingshot around the back. So I pull, hit the back. I'm trying to take his back. What I do is I push into him. I'm looking for this ankle. I'm gonna hit a 90-degree corner on him. Here, I push in, I get close to this ankle. I step around, right here. I keep the hand on the chin. I'm looking to lock his ankle here. I don't get his leg because he can straighten the leg out. I get the ankle, I don't need to grab it, I can block it. I'm going against the knee joint. My forehead's in his ribs, not below, not on top. Drive into him. I'm the arrow, he's the bull, pull him over. I block the leg, go to the crossface. Look for back points. Here, good for a headlock. Hit the corner, hold this chin. Cobra style. Right here, block the ankle. I'm working against the knee joint. So grab low, shoe leather. Head on the ribs, pull into him, crushes over to his hip, drive my chest, let go of the head, cross face. Looking for the pin, back points. So what we do is, as I go behind, he's gonna continue to follow me. I'm walking around like a clock, and he's following me. He doesn't want me to take the back. What I do is I take a couple of steps to build up some momentum, and I pitch his head. So right here, as I try to take the back, he's gonna follow me. He goes. Pitch the head, crowd him tight with the hips. Here, I start taking the back, he follows me, pitch, right on top. I crowd tight with my hips to catch him on his back, looking for back points, looking for the pin. This works because as I try to take the back, he follows me. And then I have a nice tight position, and I gotta pitch his head, like I'm trying to pitch it off his body. Here, he follows, crowd with the hips. Score the points. I like to pull the shoulder and take it the opposite way. What I do here, same for a headlock. What I do is I pull his shoulder, I kind of lock it against the joint. I lock, I'm pushing down, and his shoulder's opening up. It doesn't feel good for him, so the first thing he wants to do is he wants to pull his shoulder down. So as I pull it up, he's pulling it down like that. As I feel it pull down, as he pulls down, his weight is going to be pushing that way because he needs to pull it down. I'm going to let it go and pitch his head. I can't wind it up, it's just got to be a quick bump with my forearm. Pull here, he pulls it back, crowd him with my hips, control the chest. Sink down, head control, side control, back points, and pin. Again, here, driving in, pull the elbow He pulls it back. As he pulls it back, pitch, crowd tight. Back point, pin. We mentioned before, all wrestling matches start on your feet. The other component of wrestling is mat wrestling. Whether you're taken down, you take your opponent down, or at the beginning of a second or third period, there's the choice to be in the top or the bottom position on the mat. There are different techniques you would use for your first move to get off the mat, to look for your escape, your reversal, and to look for your takedown, pins, back points. So what we want to go over in this section is referee position, stand-ups, escapes, and reversals from the bottom position and referee position. The referee position is a technique that's just as critical as your stance. This is the stance from the bottom. So on your feet, you have the stance and you set up and you have your lines of defense. You also, this is the foundation for your moves that start off on the bottom. So being in a proper referee position from the bottom is critical because it's gonna set the tone for how the next moves go. When I set up in referee position, I wanna have my hips and my weight back. I don't wanna have the weight forward on my hands. So my opponent's gonna try to drive me over, cut angles, and try to drive me over to my back, to my side for back points. I wanna have my weight pushed back nice. I'm loading this spring. This is gonna help me spring out. My arms are slightly bent. I'm looking, my head's up. I'm in good referee position, ready to explode out. I don't wanna go down to go up. When I get locked and loaded here, I spring straight up. I go from my position here, straight up. Nothing locking down. First one, we're gonna go stand up. There's two variations. One's a stand up when your arms come across your face looking for the wrist. Another one, you can, if your opponent tries to pin your arm in or crush you down for a tilt, put your arm to your side. First one, I'm set. Referee blows the whistle. What I do is I come up, explode up hard, get hand control. The hand is already on my elbow. I know it's there. So I bring my arm up and across my face. His hand's gonna be there, and I snatch his wrist while I come up to my good base. Then what I do is I pivot up to my feet and transfer this hand to my hip pocket, right here. Covering the hand, looking for hand control here. I'm not standing straight up. I've got a good level change and a good wide base. The side I have the arm locked out on, I'm gonna hip out. My opposite elbow is gonna come down to create some motion so I can hip heist and bring my arm in between myself and my opponent and face him, looking for the takedown. Right here. When I come through here, kind of a detail point, when I come through, I wanna come through and get low into my stance. Here. Ready to look to counter any shot or to look for the takedowns myself. This particular point is a critical point because as I turn in, it's a transition point. It's either good for him to take me down or me to take him down. Hand up, snatch the wrist, pivot up, transfer. Here, hand control. I pop my hips out to create some space. I'm gonna hip heist, and I'm gonna reach this foot deep through and lower my level low. Then I can come up into my stance. The second option for the stand up, so my arm, I put it into my side to stop him from breaking me down. Maybe I know my opponent, maybe we've wrestled before, or maybe there's the tendency, everybody wants to chop this arm. It's a very basic breakdown. So if I feel I'm missing the stand up with the arm up, I can look for the arm, I pin it to my side. Everything is the same except for this first movement. When I explode up, my elbow hits my side. I control here. Still the same pivot, the base, arm, looking to cover the hand. I'm gonna pivot up right here. Now, if my opponent is kind of cheated over to this side, I go the opposite way where he is. This elbow is here, coming low. If my opponent's cheated to this side, I can actually turn the other way. I hold this hand till I'm almost turned through and let go. Low. I want my hips lower than his hips. He's in a very good stance. I've got to be better. Once I make the turn, I can get in my stance and start looking. This point right here is critical. The turn in is the exact place where he can take me down or I can take him down. It's a turning point in a lot of matches because there's a split second where the idea of you turning in, you have a sense of freedom. This guy may let me turn in so he could take me down, or when I turn in, he relaxes thinking, I gave up the escape, I'll start the takedown. There's a process. You beat him to that, so you turn in, look for the takedown right away. When you're underneath on the referee position, the top guy can do a couple of different things to you, try to break you down, drive you forward. Another thing they can do is they go for an ankle breakdown. And they're gonna either grab your outside or inside ankle and run you forward to try to flatten you out, to look for some pinning combinations and turns to score points. I'm going to my stand-up, grabs my ankle. This elbow comes directly in as I pivot to the ankle to grab his wrist. I then stand up, keeping a nice base. I feel he's off to my right. I'm gonna hip heist out to my left. Low, looking to counter his shot or take my shot. Unless you have 3 ankles, the only other ankle you can grab is the inside ankle. So when I'm hitting my stand-up, I feel this, I have to pivot back towards the opposite ankle. I'm going to my stand-up, grabs my ankle. Right here, this one's hard because I feel really off balance. I have to sit back, drive the leg out. Now, I'm gonna stand up with hand control. Right here. Now I feel he's off to my left. I'm gonna control the hand out, turn in low. Inside ankle, go to stand up, grabs it, I post, transfer my weight back so I can't get driven forward. I'm driving back, my hand grabs his wrist, I extend to get his hand off my ankle, and I look to stand up. Here, I feel he's off to my left, control the hand, step out, turn in low. Another thing that can happen from the bottom is when you're referee's position, you go looking for your good stand-up, he just beats you to the breakdown. My opponent's gonna crush my arm down. As I go to stand up, he's pulling my arm and pulling me down. I don't wanna end up on my side like this because this is gonna end up looking for back points, turns. When I feel my opponent beats me, crushing my arm down, very basic breakdown, just an arm crush. I know that he beats me. I have to know and be humble with everything. I have to know that he's beat me so I can transition to my next move before he does. So as I come up, he crushes my arm, I feel it come down, I've got to lower and base out. Now, I come right up to the stand-up, looking for hands. It can be different every time, but you brace. So the idea is you feel that you're getting beat, you brace and look for your stand-up or your sit-out. So that's just what happens if someone crushes your arm and beats you to your stand-up or beats you to your sit-out. You brace, reset, transition to the stand-up or the sit-out. There's no time in between there. So when I say reset, I mean you're just transitioning to the next move. Referee's position, I'm set. Instead of taking a move coming up, I'm gonna hit a sit-out. One of your basic skills we learned. Hit the sit. I can keep my elbow in so he can't reach underneath me, controlling me. I keep it here. Hand control. Sometimes from here, this is where I determine what I'm gonna do with my move. If my opponent pulls me down with this arm here, what I do is I go with it. I sit here as he pulls me down. I control the hand. I come through, spin. I'm in a tripod on my head. Hand up high, controlling the hand still. Come right into him, hand to the waist, ankle. Hit the sit out, elbow in, control the hand, breaks me down, go with the momentum. Post the head on the mat, turn out, hand comes out like you're riding a bull. 8 seconds, 8 seconds, baby. Boom! I like to emphasize the boom sometimes. It helps. It's a technique too. Boom. That means do something real hard or fast. It's a glossary of terms in wrestling, just like flip 'em over. If you go to wrestling tournaments, a lot of the coaches don't really know all the moves, so they just yell at their kids, flip 'em over. So boom and flip 'em over. As long as you know those two things, high, high, high level. Hit my good sit out, elbow in. He's pushing hard into me. I use his pressure, I stand up. I'm right here. Right in, elbow in, lock the hand out. Low to your stance, ready to transition to the takedown. Everything remains the same. As soon as I hit the sit out, I feel the pressure going forward. I immediately stand up. I don't waste any time. I hit my nice sit out. I feel the pressure. I stand right up, keeping my elbow in. Right here, lock the hand out. Determine which way your opponent is for your turn in. I hit my sit out. And my opponent starts cheating this way. See his leg up? I want that leg. He's not pushing into me. He's not turning me over. That leg is sitting there. My arm is here. What I do is this. Take my hand that's palm up, and I exaggerate this palm up. I could read like a love letter from your girlfriend or your boyfriend, something. Something that's very important here. Something that owes you money. It's right on your palm. You gotta see it. Gotta see it. Exaggerate this, or else it gets lazy, and then you get wrist control. Exaggerate. Anytime the elbow's in, palm up. My mom owes me money. You gotta know, because you gotta call your mom. So right here, I wanna take this hand, transfer it, hold his hand. Look for this leg. The key to the switch is I'm gonna start putting pressure on his shoulder here. I start scooting. It's a lot of pressure on this shoulder. I hold this hand to continue more pressure here. Holding this leg. What I do is I scoot my hip around this corner. You see him, it's uncomfortable. You see how, in order to take the pressure off, he starts going to his hip. I then want to hip heist, look for the reversal. When I hit my original sit out, same. Here's the list of the people that owe you money. Exaggerate. Exaggerate this palm up. Don't get lazy here. They get hand control. You can't do any of your moves. Exaggerate. People that owe you money. Pictures of your favorite things. Right here. You want to look at them. Right in the middle of the wrestling match. Visualize. Now, he's not turning me over. He's not pushing into me. I see that leg is up. I transfer the hand. I grab at the wrist so that I can't slide. If you grab the hand, it slides off. So I'm here. Grab the wrist. At the same time, I can see this here. My arm comes in as I start scooting. Right here. This is going to put a lot of pressure on his shoulder. That's why I keep this arm tight. I keep scooting, and to get the pressure off his shoulder, you see he breaks. As you feel the break and his head goes down, that's the time you need to hip heist and take the back. Right here. Two critical things with the switch. When I hit the sit out on the switch, you don't have to grab this arm, this wrist right here. But the counter to the switch, everything relies on this arm being stuck in here. So if I don't grab this, he can just pull this arm out. And I don't have a switch anymore. He has a crossface on me, I'm going to my back. So right here. So when I hit this switch, I like to have palm up. Who owes me money? Nobody? Good. Right here. Make the switch. I hold. Now he can't get his arm out. He tries to pull the arm out. It doesn't come out. I keep pressuring. See that? I put the pressure until his head goes down, what I call breaking him. He breaks right here, and that's when I look to take the back. A second critical piece of the switch is you do not want to switch and go around the waist. I'm going to switch and control the leg and the ankle. My switch, control, here, scoot until I get this break. That's where it is. As I come around, this hand comes off of his wrist. I control here. I go to his ankle. Hip heist, control the ankle. Here. Right here, I have control. He can't re-switch me. He can't roll me. What most people do is when they come from here, they come like this, and they get re-switched right now. And they get taken down. That's because they put their hand in the wrong place. Right here. Or if they go around the stomach, they get rolled. They'll hit the switch, hit it nice. They come around, they go here. Then the guy grabs your hand and rolls you. Right here. When you hit the switch, control the leg. Who owes me money? Nobody? Break, hit the corner, control. I've got my reversal, I've got control. How I control the ankle, crux in my hip, arm. Now I have my hands free, ankle stuck. Now I look to come up, break them down, start looking for pinning combinations. From the referee position or wrestling on the mat, you have the bottom position where your goal is to get an escape or a reversal. When you're the top position, your goal is to keep your opponent down, break him down, turn and pin. In this section, we're going to go over some breakdowns, turns, and pins. The first thing we're going to do is just show how to properly break the guy down from a good position, from the referee's starting position, to a breakdown to transition into some turns and some pinning series. Whichever side you like to start on, you're going to crush this arm. My referee position, again, 3 positions in wrestling really are the cornerstones. Stance on the feet, the bottom position when you're the bottom man, and the top position when I'm the top man. Again, nothing's random. I don't just go up there and get into the starting position and okay, go. Everything is calculated. When I come on, I've got my starting position. I know I want to grab the belly button where my hand has to be. I'm tight, my chin in his back. I control his elbow. I'm not loose, I'm ready to go. When the referee blows the whistle, the first thing on this first breakdown, what I want to do is I pry the inside of the leg. So I turn my hand, catch the inside of the thigh. I'm going to drive him towards 11 o'clock as I crush the arm. My hand doesn't come off and pound the arm. It just switches from here, right over, right at the crux of the elbow. As I put weight here, I'm going to crush the arm in. My knee comes next to his knee so he can't base out. Keep prying. Come over. My hand on his elbow pulls tight. I find his wrist and put it in his own back pocket. Right here. This is just called a tilt. I'm trying to score back points right here, which I am. I keep them nice and tight. You see I'm on my toe here. I'm kind of driving them forward as I'm pulling in. This is a basic tilt position right here. Hand to the crotch pry. I start driving him. You see how his weight is going over his arm, not straight. Drive him, start prying. The elbow's coming down. Break his arm at the same time. Knee next to his knee so he can't base out. Hold the arm, wrist. Wrist in his own back pocket. I use his hand to take his wallet out to give it to me. So right here, I hold. I'm scoring back points right now. I keep him pinched with my knees. I'm driving him, I'm on my toes driving and tight to hold him here. Basic tilt to back points. Another breakdown I like to do, we just went over the near arm chop, crotch pry. It's called a crossover breakdown. It's exactly the same breakdown, but when you're starting on the left side, you're gonna cross over to your opponent's other side, right side, and do the same exact breakdown, which runs into the same exact turn and pin series. I'm gonna hit one of my basic skills, go knee to knee, and I'm gonna chop the other arm and pry the other leg. So I'm gonna cross over, knee comes tight to block, hand comes inside the thigh, break down, arm tight, grab the wrist, looking for the tilt. I control him with pinching his legs and his hips with my legs. I control, pull the wrist tight, hip pocket, arm, get the tilt. If he goes to his stomach, I pull the arm out, post this outside leg, knee in the back, knee in the hip, control the wrist. Everything is the same as the turn breakdown series we did. Hook, cross face, cradle, leg pick to a Turk, jump over to a Turk. Everything's the same. The only difference is the crossover breakdown. Line up on the same side. I'm crossing over to my opponent's side, other side, hence the crossover breakdown. Here, cross over, pinch, wrist, arm, looking for the tilt, post, pull the knee out, controlling, put hip pocket, looking for your turns. Crossover breakdown. Now from here, I can transition. Right here, he comes off his back. I come up. I don't want to lose this. I go into my series. I never let go of this wrist. Keep this wrist in his hip pocket. I pull my hand out, post my leg, and get this knee out. I have my knee right on the back of his thigh. My other knee is right behind his back. I'm controlling the wrist right here. I got the G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip on his wrist, so he wants that gone. So he's gonna reach to it. Everybody does the same thing. Everybody. I hook. I use the back of my arm like a bar on his back. Hook, no thumb. Hook, pull, cover with my chest, start backing my weight out, pull him back here. This is back points. I'm not pinning him, but this is back points, right here. If I can pull him down, transition, reverse half. We've been over this a number of times. Side control, I still have his wrist. Reverse half and control. If his wrist gets free, I'm gonna reverse half, side control, head and arm position, keeping my chest heavy, looking for the pin. Second thing they'll do from here. Some of the guys are smart, sort of, and they won't reach to here. I'm pulling him towards his back right now. He doesn't want to expose his back. So he's gonna reach far and go to his stomach. I'm still holding. I wanna look for the cross face now. So I'm gonna come underneath, cross face, hard. Sometimes nobody likes to have their head on the mat. Sometimes they pick their head up, which is perfect, because you can tee off on their head. You can come from as far as you want, sort of. But as far as, just do it. Right here, clobber, get this. And then I hold the wrist still, and I pull him tight, so it's kind of working against each other, twisting. Two things are gonna happen here. One, see how he's flat? If he's flat, I continue because this is hard on his back. The only way it feels good is if he goes flat and starts turning into me. So I come off, let go, I pick at the knee, pick it up, step through, Turk, cover, control, back points and pin. Another thing that happens here, I get the crossface, and he doesn't want to turn. He's gonna put this leg out to stop me from turning him over. I'm gonna look for the crossface cradle. I've got the crossface here. I take this hand, place it right behind his knee. I then keep the pressure on his back with my chest. I walk around him, put his head to his knee, grab my own wrist right here, keeping it tight. I then hip heist underneath, bring him back, scoring back points here. For the pin, I make it a little painful. You're gonna wanna put your forehead in his temple, and you take this bottom knee, and you push him away. That flattens him out, right here. Now, a lot of times, a little added bonus, if you may. This guy, he doesn't want this leg here. He's gonna try to kick his leg, kick it down to get out. I trap this, pull him in half. I don't cross my legs here. I just keep it here. This isn't good enough. An added super extra bonus. I put my forehead in his temple and try to shove my skull out the backside of his other skull. I want to crush this temple to this side of the temple. Everything is tight here. This is where you tell secrets. Hey man, I like what you're doing. That's what you do. You can talk to him right here. That's what I like to do. If they can't get out, and then you just talk to him, ask him about his sister or other things you want, about how much money he owes you. I like the money thing. Crush it. Now, I look for the hook. It's not there. I look for the crossface. It's not there. It's good. I can't get the crossface. I hold the wrist and I jump sides. What I do is when I jump, I'm here, my knee comes over, it's like a knee to knee, jump quick, and I keep this wrist pushing this way. So my wrist, I'm gonna jump. Here's where his arm is. Look where, see I pull him? I pick the leg, step through, Turk, post, post, heavy, back points. Another breakdown, there's two breakdowns. The ankle breakdowns, near and far ankle. We went over them when we were in the bottom position, what to do if someone grabs your ankle, pivot back, get the hand off your ankle and stand up. I want to beat my opponent to his pivot. So on the breakdowns when I use the ankles, I want to make sure I hit the ankle quick, hit my transition. I'm going to be driving him forward. I want to drive him flat to the mat. I move my hand from the elbow, goes to the stomach. The hand from the stomach goes to the outside ankle. I keep my hips low. I drive his ankle right up his butt, and I drive my hips into his hips, and I want him to go flat. Drive. I'm flat on top of him, and I immediately start looking for my pin. Another breakdown, the inside ankle breakdown. Everything is identical, except for I'm gonna grab the inside ankle. Start here, my hand's on his stomach, I'm going to slightly get behind him so I can grab the ankle. Now I'm gonna run him flat, and everything's the same. Cross face to the wrist. I like the wrist control. Slip underneath. Again, controlling the wrist. One thing you gotta look out for, do not lock your hands, it's illegal. You can't lock your hands underneath. So here, hold the wrist. I don't just reach to the head, because what he's gonna do to counter the half, he's just gonna pull the arm in. I can't get the hand up. One thing I like to do is this, walk, walk, push with my head, walk, the hand up. On top of the head, very powerful here. On the neck, it's not so hard, not so much pressure on the head. What I do, I don't run them, pull. A lot of people just like to push this way and the chest gets high. I pull his head under, sink my chest. I make him pay right here. It's very tight. I allow him to turn. I decide when he turns. I'm driving. I pull here, and this is tight. I can keep it tight. Here, I decide when to let him turn. And when, keep it tight, slip it out. Underneath, reverse half. When he's on his back and I'm in side control, there's a pin I like to call the double grapevine. When I started wrestling in 9th grade, I beat this kid out for varsity. I was 98 pounds, so you know I was like a fire hydrant, sort of, small one, no water. I had 4 wins, and they're all 4 pins, and the rest of them were losses, so I've come a long way, baby. So, from here, they're trying to turn into you because they want to get off their back. They're turning, they're rocking back and forth. All I do is step all the way over with one leg, put my heels in, get my toes on the outside of his shins, post, I extend. Both shoulders down, double grapevine. Again, this is a basic pin. It was the first only pin I learned, the only pins I got. So I've been doing this one since '84 too. I still got the medal. It's a JV medal. It's my first one on my leather jacket. It's kind of like the Smithsonian for me. Started off a whole series of events that culminates in you watching me talk about my pins from '84. So from side control, he's trying to get off, his back turning. I take my leg that's closest to him, I just step over. Heel in, put my toes on the outside of his shins, post, I slip this one out post, and I extend. Look for the pin.
When I was in Russia in 1999, I was in Kiev, and we were training at the Olympic Training Center. And, you know, they have a pretty rigorous training program there. It was a great experience for me. And we were in the middle of one of our practices, and the Russian coach who was with us the whole week never spoke one word in English. So all of a sudden one day said, you know what, showed us a move and said, please do 100 times. And 100 moves for each person is about an hour and a half's worth of drilling. And this was just the warm-up. And so I had one of our guys on our team, you know, just kind of looked and was like, you know, what's he smoking? And the Russian coach, obviously knew English because he turned and comes just and talks to just us and said, in America, you maybe do 10 times. In Russia, we do 10,000. This is why you never win. And we were just blown away by that. And so ever since then, when I teach anything, I always say 10,000 times. If you do it 10,000 times, you'll have it mastered. And it's the repetition. And, you know, just simple daily discipline compounded over time. And, you know, using the right technique and the repetition over and over, just you can excel not only in wrestling, but in life as well. So it was a huge, impactful 3 minutes this wrestling coach gave to me. It's changed my life ever since. And so I tried to implement that into the wrestling and for my kids and athletes and coaches.